Good evening, I'm Kevin Stiff.
And I'm Tonnetta Stiff. How is everybody doing? Well, I have a question for the ladies in the room. I want you to think back to when you were a little girl playing with Barbie dolls and maybe Kens as well. Do you remember a fairy tale of what your life would be before you become an adult? Yeah, probably so. Mine was no different. I had visions of this fairy tale, this beautiful wedding day, this wonderful husband, a family full of children, and laughter. Well, everything in my family and in my vision was perfect, but it was missing one little thing.
Well, I hope to complete that fairy tale. Our story began 16 years ago at Lackland Air Force Base while we were stationed together in tech school. I would always hear about this girl crying because she was homesick and this was her first time away from home. And I used to think, man, wow, I just want to meet her because I heard she was cute. So I had a chance to meet her. I saw her one day on the stairwell, and she was sitting on the stairwell like a little boy with her legs wide open. Now, coming from Jackson, Mississippi, I'm a 24-year-old Southern boy. I just thought that was kind of unladylike. So what I did, I walked over to her, and I said, "Excuse me, can you please close your legs? That's kind of unladylike." And she did.
Yeah, I remember that story. He doesn't tell it exactly like I remember it. I remember looking at him like he was a little cuckoo for even acknowledging the fact that my legs were open. But I did do what he asked me to do. But those are not the stories I remember most about Kevin in tech school. There's two that stand out for me the most. The very first one is we were on the bus on our way to the BX. We had to travel because we were on the Medina side for training. We were on the way to the bus to the BX, and he had just found out where his orders were. Kevin was going to be stationed at Offutt Air Force Base, Nebraska. Y'all, I laughed so hard I almost peed my pants. The thing I remember is because I had never heard of any black man being stationed in cold Cornhusker State, Nebraska. I was from a small town in North Carolina, so it was just odd for me. Well, he got off the bus that day with his head hanging down, and he just said it was messed up. It's still funny. 2 weeks later, guess where I found out I was going?
Offutt, Nebraska.
Offutt Air Force Base, Nebraska. The next story I have for Kevin is we were still at training, and he had about a week left before he was supposed to leave. I was coming down the stairwell.
I don't know what it is about these stairwells.
It works for us. I was coming down the stairwell, and he was in the lobby on the phone. He had his hand to the phone, and he motioned for me to come over. And I was like, okay. So I walked down the stairs, and he said, "Hold on, man. I want you to speak to my future wife." Right. First thing I thought was, this is the worst pickup line ever. How are you going to say that to me? You don't know me that well, but he did. I must admit, I did go to the phone.
That's right. She grabbed the phone, and I PCS to Nebraska. I got there first, about a month ahead of her. And the first place I go to when I go to any base is the basketball court. So I get on the basketball court, and I get up with all the guys, and I'm kind of meeting everybody on base. And I told the guys, I said, "Hey, there's 5 girls that are coming here. All of them look good." I said, "But this one, her name is Tonnetta Outlaw. She's off limits. This one is mine." So I told all the guys, and sure enough, she came, and when she got there...
Well, he did, and I didn't know this story before. Okay, it took a while for me to realize that I was being set up. Well, I got there, and a couple people were meeting me, and they saw my name, and they were like, "Oh, you're Airman Outlaw. We were told you were off limits, that we were not to speak to you." My first question was, "Who told you this?" And they said, "Airman Stiff told us." Airman Stiff. I couldn't remember him, but when I saw him...
Yeah, right.
I didn't remember him, but when I saw him, the face came back to my memory, and I knew exactly who he was.
So,
go ahead.
Anyway, I swept her off her feet. As soon as she got there, I said, "Look, hey, I'm here for you. whatever you need, let me know. I'll be your huckleberry. So she called, and sure enough, she said, I need a ride to the BX. Now, this was my test. I had a 1968 Buick LeSabre about the size of this stage. I thought I was cool, but I was humble. Remember, I'm 24 years old, just getting in the military. I'm starting out thinking my mind is made up. I'm going to use the military, finish my degree, and then off to seminary. That's where I was headed. And, oh, by the way, I would love to have a wife to go with me. And she kind of fit that bill. So anyway, she get in the car and all of her friends with her. And all of them sat in the front seat with me. So we began to become friends. And we talked, and we talked, and we talked, and we talked about everything.
Everything you could think of. And we talked about what our families were like, what his family was like, what my family was like, where we grew up. And we talked about, one thing we got on was the subject of kids and what we wanted our life to be like. And we both said we wanted kids. Kevin wanted a basketball team.
True.
I did not want a basketball team.
3 or 4.
I wanted about 3 or 4 kids. My vision was the Huxtables. Everybody remember the Cosby Show? Yeah, I wanted to be Claire Huxtable, the successful, established woman with a nice-looking, handsome man, and a beautiful family to go with it. That was my fairy tale vision in my head. So we talked about these kids, and I told him that I had already had my first name picked out. I knew what I wanted to name my first daughter.
And I said the exact same thing. I said, oh, yes. I said, I have my name picked out, too, because I met a girl in high school who I thought was the most beautiful girl inside and out. Modest, Southern, all the traits you can think about. That's who I thought about. If I ever have a little girl, this is going to be her name. So we came up with a plan. You turn your way, and we both write it down. We wrote it down, and would you believe we wrote down the exact same name? Immediately I said, surely this is the one.
Yeah, but a month later, he dumped me. And that is a true story. He did. He dumped me about a month later, and I was heartbroken. Like I told you, I'm from a small town. I didn't have a lot of experience with men, and I just thought Kevin was really the love of my life because we shared everything. But he dumped me, and I grew up fast. 19 years old, I thought I was pretty naive to this point. I worried about what everybody thought about me, and this all changed in this time. I dated, I deployed. Most important thing, I developed a relationship with the Lord. But the one thing that didn't change, even though he wasn't my boyfriend, he always stuck around. He was always there. He always asked how I was doing. While I was deployed, Kevin took care of everything I owned in my dorm room, my huge amount of debt.
Yes.
He paid off all my credit cards with the money I was making and had money left over for me to buy a car when I got back. So for me, he was a friend for life. He was. And when I got back from the deployment, he popped the question.
And the reason I popped the question is because of the one thing. She said her relationship grew with the Lord. And that was pretty much the deal while I broke up with her. But that's for another day. But at the same time, I popped the question because I had orders to Guam. And I said, I don't believe in long-distance relationships, so it's either going to be now or never. So I popped the question, I married her, and off to Guam we went.
Guam was great. It was a honeymoon for us. Just imagine 2 years in a tropical island, no family, no friends that we knew. We had to start completely over. This was a great way to break us in as newlyweds. So the arguments that we had or the frustrations that we had nobody to run to. It was just the two of us. So while we were in Guam, we started thinking about what we wanted to do there. We had already said we didn't want to start our family right away. There were things we wanted to finish, school being one, getting out of debt being two, and just having fun and enjoying the island. So we did all those things. Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
And then we found out we were going to Hickam Air Force Base. Yeah, we had some pretty good assignments. I think God was making up for office.
That's right. So we get to Hickam Air Force Base, and by this time, I think it's about 2000. And we've been together for I think about 4 years now, and we're thinking, I'm in Hawaii. My dad lives in Hawaii. What a great place to start a family. Since I didn't get a chance to come to Hawaii so often because of how expensive it is, I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to start a family with my father here, and he'll be the proud grandparent to say I was there for the birth of my grandson or daughter. So I thought this would be the perfect place for us to start a family. So
we did, and I got off birth control. That was the first thing I did, and we didn't really think any more about it. We said we would just join the island. I mean, it's the island of love. What do you do when you go there?
Hello.
You have fun. Well, I don't mean to ask you that question, but it is the island of love. It's the place where you have fun, you enjoy love, you enjoy life, and you travel, and you just spend time with the one you love. So it wasn't a lot of pressure at this time. But Hawaii 2001 happened. It didn't happen for us. We didn't get pregnant. And then we found out we had to PCS.
Off we go to Germany. Another great assignment. So we get to Germany and we're thinking, hey, we're in Europe. What a great place. We're going to travel and continue practicing. So we're just thinking one day it's going to happen. So about a year and a half into Germany, we started thinking, wow, what's going on? I'm getting older, 30 years old. We never had any scares or anything. So what's going on? And then she started thinking, yeah, what's wrong with me? So let's go get tested. I didn't want to get tested because I knew exactly what I had to go through. But I obliged. We went to go get tested.
So I had an amazing doctor there in Germany, and she talked to me. She asked me what we had been doing. We told her we had been trying for over a year and with no success. And she told me that she was going to help me. So she ordered all these tests for us both. Some of them were very uncomfortable, painful for me, more so uncomfortable for Kevin.
Uncomfortable is saying it lightly. Uncomfortable, embarrassing, and humiliating. I remember going to the receptionist, walking up. It's just a lab. And everybody's in the lobby. And the lady says, what are you here for? And I said, we're trying to get pregnant. She said, oh, you're trying to get pregnant? Okay. She pops out a cup, a specimen cup, and a brown paper bag and said, here you go, put your specimen in there. There's a bathroom around the corner. Your wife can't help you, so go around the corner and fill the cup up and come back. And I'm going. So I go and I take care of business and I come back. I get back. She says, did you finish? I said, yes, ma'am. Walking down the hall with my brown bag. So she takes the cup and pulls it out and said, just wanted to see if we have enough. That's my experience. So by this time, I'm very upset. I'm angry, and I'm saying, never again. We better be good to go.
He walked out of that hospital faster than It was an uncomfortable experience for him, but for me, I thank Kevin so much for that day because I know it wasn't comfortable. I know that it was a test of his manhood to be put through those tests. For me, I didn't care what it was. I just wanted to know, were we okay? Could we have a family of our own? Everything came back okay. All the tests were positive. We had no problem. My doctor told me to continue trying.
Practicing.
She said, keep practicing. That's his fun part. Have fun, enjoy, travel a little bit. Don't worry about it. She gave us a lot of vitamins and stuff to keep us, keep our health good. We were in pretty good shape at the time. So we just thought, okay, let's just relax and enjoy it. Well, relaxing didn't last very long. Our unit was closing in Simbach, and we were told we were PCSing to Langley Air Force Base. So we did.
So we get to Langley Air Force Base. And again, we have to start all over again if we ever wanted to do that testing again. I was totally against it because I didn't want to go through that again. The doctor said we were okay. We're fine. So 2 or 3 years passed in Langley, and of course my wife is still wondering what's going on. And I saw how it was getting to her, and she said, let's try this test again. Against all of my better judgments, I did not want to do it, but I saw what she was going through. So we did.
Well, before we got to Langley, the last thing I remember discussing with my doctor is that, she was going to make sure everything was current in my paperwork and my medical records. And the thing I remember the most is I'm going to lose all of this. I'm going to lose the person who's known us as a couple. We're not just names on a piece of paper to her. We have become personal to her. She knows our story. She knows how long we've been trying. She knows what she set up for us. We get to Langley, and I got to explain myself all over again to new doctors, to new people, and that was frustrating to me. But when Kevin agreed that he would go see the doctors again, I said, let's hurry before he changes his mind. We started testing again. We actually had 3 sessions of taking Clomid and doing insertions, and all tests failed. For me, this was the most frustrating. For me, it was having my expectations and my hopes set up very high and thinking this is going to be the month. Every assignment, it was always, this is going to be the assignment. We're looking forward to having a kid. This one was no different. Virginia was about a step away from where my parents were in North Carolina. So I thought we would have another opportunity to be with our family and them get to see their grandkids. But it didn't happen month after month. I just got frustrated. I didn't show it to a lot of people, only to Kevin, poor guy. He took it all in. But the most painful parts for me were my friends, who would always get pregnant month after month. I had a lot of friends in the same boat as us, and it seemed like they didn't try hard. It seemed like, oh, he's back, let's do this, and we're going to be pregnant. But I didn't have that opportunity. I kept asking, what was wrong with me? I kept asking God, why me? What is wrong with Kevin and I that we can't have a family? We're stable, we love each other, and it just wasn't happening.
So we deployed, and immediately we all thought, deployment, baby, it's going to happen. No worries, it's going to happen. So I returned from my deployment. It didn't happen. Then the next year, we both deployed, both gone. We said, hey, both of us out of our comfort zone. We got some pent-up frustration. When we get back together, it's going to happen. So we get back from our second deployment. Again, nothing happened.
We disproved that myth. So when people say that, it's not 100%. It wasn't for us. We were still frustrated, and we put the test on hold because he was deploying initially, and I didn't want to be pregnant while he was gone. I wanted him to be there for the birth of our first child because we had tried for so long. I just didn't think it would be right or fair to him to miss all of those things. And knowing now, I didn't have to wait because it didn't happen. It just didn't happen for us. So when we got back from our second deployment, we found out Kevin was accepted as a first sergeant, and we were PCSing here to Turkey.
Cool. So we get to Turkey, and we just said, hey, we know Turkey have great hospitals. I heard great things about it. This is my second time over here. I was always thinking, oh, we're going to have a nanny. We're going to have a midwife. You can have the baby in your bed or the bathtub there. I said, this is going to be great. This is going to be it. But we get here, and we're practicing. But one of the most frustrating things about it is that people look at us, and they think, 2 master sergeants. We've been all over the world. We had the big house. We had the nice cars, but no kids. And so a lot of people were thinking we were too driven. We had our degrees. We had everything you could think about, and they thought we were driven. And they said, man, Stiff just don't want kids. But that's far from the truth. And it bothers us because a lot of times we have to deal with this. And being in leadership, you got to deal with the troops getting pregnant, and they're coming to you saying, I'm going to have an abortion. And one of the toughest things is that they know we're trying, but yet they still feel confident and comforting to come and tell us that. And we do what we have to do. We separate ourselves from the situation and give them everything that they need, an alternative that they can choose to do what they want to do. But it's tough having to deal with that. But at the same time, what we do, we have to do. And then we met some people here who were told us about them being adopted. And we thought that was great.
Yeah, We heard from a couple of people. I won't mention them by name. That's their story to tell you. But they told us about how their life was growing up in a family that they were adopted, and it opened our eyes to something that we had not considered before. We were always thinking about just having our own child, and I still have that desire to have my own child. The funny thing is, now as master sergeants, I think we're viewed at these two master sergeants who are seasoned, layman terms for me for being old.
Me old.
And to me, we're brothers from that. I think we have a whole lot of life to live and a whole lot of love to give to a child that's our own, or one that we bring into our family that has not had a fortunate life. I think the hardest thing for me is just dealing with all the questions and just thinking that people don't think we want it for ourselves, and we do. We've always wanted children. We have about 10 godkids. I know that seems crazy, but we do. We have every assignment. It seems like we pick up a couple more. And we love children. We love just being around kids and just having a great time and just putting little seeds in their life.
Right.
So being here is difficult because Kevin has already told me I don't want to do any more tests.
That's right.
He says I've been humiliated enough.
And the reason I don't want to do any tests because we didn't tell you when we wrote the names down. We didn't tell you what those names were. I wrote down Imani. We both wrote down Imani. I spelled it with the I, and she spelled it with the E. Imani means faith. And we picked out our middle name a while ago, long time ago too. In between, we always liked the name Faith. So Imani Faith Stiff. Faith. That's going to be the nickname. So Imani means faith. That's a double portion of faith for us. We have to have faith and just believe. And so that's why I don't believe, I hope, knock on wood, we don't have to do any more tests, but we're just going to have faith.
And one of the things we do, we just ask our questions to ourselves, what do we do next? And we just tell each other over and over again the things that people don't see, is that we talk to each other. We talk each other through the hard times, the days when I am frustrated because tests come back negative. We talk each other through it and we say we live. We continue to love each other. I think our love for each other is just amazing, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. We live, we hope.
We have faith.
We have faith. We continue to hope and just believe that God will one day give us a child of our own. I was on the internet a couple of days ago just preparing, and there was a quote by an unknown author, and it said, "The struggle is the story." And for us, no one sees the struggle of wanting a child. No one sees the struggle of waiting and going through tests and being told no month after month. But it is a struggle for us. It's a struggle because we believe that it will happen one day. But it's a struggle to hold on to hope, to continue to love, and to continue to have the faith.
So we hope, for those of you out there, we hope our story will help you and just have faith. Thank you.